Welcome all of you risk takers and truth seekers to Podcast Live the Battlefield. And today episode, just exclusively for you, particularly you, dear ladies. What takes to be the woman entrepreneur? What obstacles, what fears, and most importantly, what takes to be successful? And today I have the amazing guest in my studio, Ange Dion. Welcome, Ange.
Thank you, Mario. Nice to be here.
Ange, just for the record, who is the Ange and, what do you do actually?
I'm just a good little Greek girl that grew up in the suburbs.
Okay, that good Greek girl, that's what you stated?
Angel.
Okay,
Angel.
Hello. Hello, yes. Okay, so good Greek girl, yeah.
Who was born overseas
Okay.
in what I call the land of the gods, Greece. And then I was brought here with mum and dad I was 18 months old.
Yeah.
And I watched my parents do it tough over the years. And one day I thought, I want to do things differently.
Okay.
And I grew up in Marrickville. I've raised in Marrickville. I'm back in Marrickville and I'm living there quite now and watched it change over the years. We came to a country with not much English skills, like a lot of people do.
Yes.
And grew up at school being bullied. I was always an overweight child. Loved my food and I still do.
Well, I think we share the same love. That's okay.
There's nothing wrong with that love, but sometimes
Absolutely nothing is wrong with that.
we just need to learn to control it.
Yes, I agree, yes.
So I'm just a simple girl from the burbs who wants to be I want to be known as the Greek version of Oprah Winfrey, the woman who helped somebody else move forward.
You said something interesting. You wanted to be like Oprah Winfrey. And she, in no respect, she does help a lot of people. She did help in the past and she's still doing this. But before we come to that stage, what you wanted to become in the future as Oprah, what roads lead you to become the female business owner? And you are working, let's go be clear, ladies and gentlemen, Angie doesn't work in a just female-friendly environment. And now, I'll let Angie explain. Angie, you work in a very ungrateful environment, workplaces. So tell us, what possessed you? What took you to go your path to work where you are today?
Growing up, when I left school, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I became a massage therapist. And back in the day, a massage therapist was not something you did as a Greek girl because, people might talk. You're Greek, you can't go into people's houses. What are people going to say? So I did a massage career on my terms in a small business, and I ran that for 19 years. And then as transitioning to working in an office, I met a great man who thought I was very good at doing safety in construction.
Okay.
He said I was highly organised and I needed to put my skills to something for the future. So they invested in me as a safety officer, invested in all my training. And then one day I thought, I'm in the construction space. I've started to earn my stripes by now. It wasn't easy in the beginning. And then I stepped out into my own business because I believe that if I worked hard for a business, anybody else's business, I could do the same in my own.
That's, what one hallmark about you is that brutal honesty about yourself. People love to start conversation about themselves, but in different concept. Like my life is bad, and that sob story. But you are quite nicely, sarcastically, brutally honest in your way. So, working in the workplaces as a safety officer, yeah, manager, it was always been male-dominated place.
Absolutely.
Now, can you just share with our audience, particularly those women who are opting to get out and do some work in that space, not just a safety inspector or manager, but to run our own business, and particularly when they're running into the male-dominated environment, what would your be best tip to everybody, to any woman?
When I was sent into construction the first time, there was a lot of, 18 years ago, Mario, there was no other women. There wasn't many women in construction. And I remember walking into many sites and there'd be like 300, 400 men and maybe one girl or two girls. Back in the day, we didn't have female engineers. Architects were just starting to study females in the game. And I believe that, if a guy could do something, then women should be able to do it too. Mm-hmm. And I've always believed that you might be shown something and you'll pick it up. And there's no difference in learning. Whether you're male or female, you can learn something. And I was invested into study, and I studied safety and construction. I walked, and I still walk the talk. Like to this day, I still put my steel caps on and I still go to site. And I hang out. But now there's a few more women. I mean, there's 13% of the force is female at the moment.
13%?
13%.
1-3.
1-3.
Jesus, that's nothing, eh?
We need more.
We need more. Yes.
We need more. We are getting women in trades.
Yes.
And I encourage anybody who, there's a lot of women that do renovations at home with their friends or their partners, and they don't do it as a job. They just do it for a hobby. And my encouragement is, if you like something as a hobby, make it your income.
Make it your income. Now, this is very, very honest reply. So let's go from the male-dominated environment to the starting your business. What were your obstacles in starting your business? Or did you, in those days when you start your business, go to watch for the gurus on the internet and tell you what to do? Did you read the books?
Oh.
Or have you been told, do not do this because it's not good for you?
Oh, look, if someone tells you, when you're starting a business, you think you know everything.
Yeah, true.
Well, I thought I knew a lot, but I knew how to put it into place in somebody else's business. It's very different when you start your own. So, of course, you start a business, you need, sales. And that's one of those words that I absolutely I am not comfortable with sales.
I presume you're going to say I suck in the sales.
Oh, no, I don't. If I could bypass the sales process, absolutely.
Yes.
I believe people should come to want to work with you rather than you have to sell them. Mm-hmm. So my sales is nah. If I don't have to do a sales pitch, I won't.
Yeah.
And half the time I don't close a sale because I'm not a salesperson. I'm Ange, and I'm here to deliver a service. And you need a sales coach, and you'll need mentoring, and you need, you need to listen to other people that have done it. My biggest advice was watch who's doing what you're doing and hang out with them. And if you can't hang out with them, read their stuff, listen to their podcasts, watch them on YouTube, follow them on Facebook if you have to, or LinkedIn, and hang out with them. I remember being in the institute, at the coaching institute, and my mentor said, there's not a lot of women in the space of speaking and presenting. Come on, girls, what are you waiting for? And I was like, I'm next. I'm coming. I'm going to do the same thing. Because if she could do it, I could do it. And then there's the Tony Robbins in the field. What's Tony Robbins got that I don't have? He studied, he works hard, and he's doing his business. So I've got to work hard, I've got to study, and I've got to keep going. And I've got to empower myself. I've got to empower my mindset. I've got to keep learning. Don't stop learning is my biggest tip, because somebody else will know something that you don't.
Don't stop learning. I need to take this down.
Don't stop learning. And because we don't know everything.
Yeah.
Although I know my safety like an encyclopedia, they call me the walking book. I don't know everything. And sometimes I'm like, I've got to ring Safe Work, or I've got to actually get on the phone to somebody to speak to somebody else about this. Let me come back to you, because I don't have all the answers, and it's okay not to.
So you're telling me that when you start your business, you need to study. You need to learn.
I needed to learn accounting. Come on, business.
Come on, give us more.
Dollars, cents. Like, I was earning an income. I got rid of that income, and then I'm like, now what? Who's going to pay me?
Nobody. Please don't talk to ATO. Her name is not Ange Dion, okay? All taxes are being...
With all confidence, my taxes are up to speed. It's okay.
Yeah, but we talked about 20 years ago, we're like jokes aside. So is it true? People have the belief that starting business is like, I know what I want, I know what I know, and I'm gonna have the millions of the dollars on my account. But they're forgetting, as you say, marketing, sales, accounting, the networking. Many things are coming into calculus, into equation. But most of people, including me, when I started my business, equation was just like, I'm the greatest investigator on the planet, and I'm going to make the millions. And it didn't work that way. It's like, So how did you overcome that obstacle in in sales and marketing and accounting. Did you improvise, adjusted? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yes.
When I let go of the contract that was paying me on a weekly retainer, before I left the company, I had started doing a part-time side hustle of meeting clients and talking to them about me being able to do their safety for them virtually,
Yeah.
or participating on a part-time role, because a lot of businesses couldn't afford a full-time safety manager and still can't. So I was doing things on the side for them. So I'd say, look, we need to set you up. You need documents, you need systems, you need training. I'm happy to do this for you. So you don't have to outlay quite a bit of money. And I was building it slowly. Yeah. So my shift wasn't very big when I left the one business to go in to start my own. However, we have to grow.
Yeah.
We put a target on the wall. We say, okay, we're going to make this money. Well, how are we going to make it? You work in an office, you've got an accounts team.
Yes.
You work in an office, you've got a managing director. You've got someone who goes out and gets the sales. You're doing all this by yourself. And that was the hardest part, that I was doing it. Although I've got my family, who's a fantastic support network and have got my back, they don't do business. There's a lot of people in my family that don't do business. There's a lot of my friends that were like, good luck, you've just thrown a salary away. But my drive was, I need to find people that are doing this so that I can keep moving.
Yes.
And learn. Who's the accountant? What's the accountant going to do to help me? Where do I need to go to hang out with people that are going to bring my business? Networking, like you said, you mentioned networking. Now, what was networking? A lot of people don't know what networking is.
So, you see, I wrote a question down, because I know you are the queen of the networking. No, absolutely. Guys, I'm going to put in a comment section below. On this podcast, Life the Battlefield, the emphasis is from victim to victor. And it doesn't necessarily to be victim of the domestic violence, victim of, the bad parenting. The victim it is that you are starting experience the pain of growth in some shape or form. And to that shape or form of your growth, you come to some key objectives you plan in your life. And my guest in studio today, Ange, explains what takes to be the female in a male-dominated industry, and growing up in a very, I won't say strict family, but
there was a lot of rules.
Immigrants, yeah, the Greek, and being the female masseur, like what people gonna say, So you can get out of the Greece, but Greece can't get out of you. So that's your parents as well, of course. So biggest mistake in networking.
I used to turn up.
Okay.
Look around the room. Freak out and go home. Although I could talk.
Is that it?
I could talk to people and say, hi, how are you?
Yeah, now, yeah.
Even back then, I'm great in a room with people. Hello, how are you? How are you going? What are you doing? But when it came to business, to talk about my business and what I do, and the first few times you go to a networking event, you're like, oh, what's going on here? What do I have to do? And if you haven't had any experience, or until you get comfortable, sometimes you just go and you leave and you don't say anything. And that was what I was doing in the beginning. And then slowly it was like, no, you have to tell people your business. And my coach would say, you need to talk about what you do. Don't talk about yourself. Just talk about what you do. And I was like, okay. So this is not go out and meet people and say, hi, my name's Ange, and I'm a Greek girl growing up in the suburbs. I'm a business operator and I do this in business.
Yes,
and that was the conversation that I had to get used to. Wasn't easy.
That's interesting. So, I just give you my take on a networking. I'm trained intelligence operative, so networking should not be issue for me. However, when you're forced into the business, and I need to be forced because GFC and everything was just around me, crashing and burning, it was just apocalypse now. My first access to the networking event was a disaster because I walk in and the person who greeted and meet me, he told me, Mario, you need speech therapist. And I was like, why is that? He said, your English sucks. And I'm like, I know that my accent is not the best. This is my fifth language, but do I really need a speech therapist? He says to me, you're never gonna succeed. And what I did, Ange, I ran at that stage to my wife and I cried. 38 years old man with all this war experience and, being the man, I cried. And I said to myself, I'm never going to succeed. It took me time to come to my senses. So when somebody comes to you and want to learn how to present themselves in a networking event, how do I see? Okay, give us this one. What would you share with our audience? What they need to take to present themselves better in networking events? Is like, look at me, baby.
Well, it's, the minute you arrive, it is look at me, because you're there to be
so
looked.
it is?
You are there to be looked at. You're not there to. You didn't pay to go to this network event just to sit in the background and enjoy the food. You're there to show them who you are, and the first impressions count. So you don't turn up networking in jeans and sneakers. If you're in business, there is business attire. You dress your jeans nicely with a jacket or a shirt. You wear a nice pair of shoes, and of course, you turn up to present. With your presentation, it's who you are in business, not, hi, I'm the business or the person of this. No, you are the business operator, and what do you do in that business? And you keep it short and sweet. And in the shortness, you say, I take the pain out of this in what you do. How are you going to help this client? And, of course, who you want to be connected to. Who is your client coming from? The person you meet is not always the person that's going to buy from you. Like we met today, doesn't mean we're going to buy from each other. But behind us, there's networks that will want to work with us.
Absolutely, I agree.
And that's what people have to project. We don't just turn up to networking, I'm going to come in, close my sales and go home. If you're going to networking thinking you're going to close your sales and go home, you're got it wrong.
That is very empowering. So everybody, guys, in comment section below, there are details from Angie. So feel free to contact her if you want to learn how to present yourself properly on a networking event. And that leads us to the law of reciprocity.
Absolutely.
People love to come networking events, and they're expecting that everybody's going to fall on their knees and give them, of course.
Buy from me.
Can you share this with us? How do you see the people who come just to take? And I say, I've witnessed it so many times, they love to take, but I think myself, you can take so much, then eventually doors going to close to you. Even before you appear, the door is going to close to you. What do you think about people who loves to take and not to reciprocate and give back?
There's a lot of takers in the world, and like you said, the door will eventually close. Ideally, you should step out with the giver's gain mentality. You give and it'll come back. Somewhere along the line, you just got to keep giving. For my takers, we still treat them the same.
Yeah.
I don't treat my takers any differently. I don't. Do I limit my time with a taker? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I know that they're there to take, which is fine. That's who they are. If it doesn't change our working relationship, I'll still give, and eventually it'll come back from somewhere else for me. I believe in the law of reciprocity. I also believe in manifesting in the universe. So I know that if I give, it will come back from somewhere later on.
This is very interesting when you say law of attraction and law of, and abundance and, wishing the good and bad. Can you just, before I go dig deeper into other aspects of the business and life, tell us more, how do you see this law of attraction of, law of saying the gratitudes, and saying thank you to people. Don't you think that's a wishy-washy, that doesn't have the merits?
When I first started personal development, my personal development journey, I was about 22 and going through some crises in my life. And I was learning about Tony Robbins, and I was learning different things into a different world to what I knew. And at the time, I could have been very negative, or I could have been a victim, as you said, but the idea was to remain positive.
Okay.
And remain positive is something that I do daily. And when business, because sometimes there's crises in business, okay?
Yes,
like things happen and business doesn't go the way you plan. You set a budget, you set a target, and you start working towards that target, and things happen and you haven't achieved the target at the end of the quarter, and you think, or contracts cancel and changes in business and finances, and you think, and I just remain positive. I think, you know what? You know what you're doing. You just keep going. Remain positive. It'll turn it around. You've got to turn it around. And I've always remained positive. I'm grateful for my health. That's the most important one I've got. I'm 50 at the moment, and I take my numbers I don't take them seriously, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm very lucky to be 50 and still here. There's a lot of people that are not here at 50, and there's a lot of people that are not functional at my age. So, I pride myself that I'm fabulous 50. I'm very healthy. I'm very grateful for being Fab 50. I encourage everybody to accept their birthday numbers and work with what you've got and just keep moving forward. Remain positive and I always believe that there's something better coming.
Okay. That is sort of, I expect you're going to answer me that way without too much fluffing around, but be brutally honest what expecting. I was one of non-believers. I was the one who made fun of everybody believing in those things. And then eventually when you realize you are reached the bottom, you should go up here, I mean, naturally. But no, I have the shovel, so I was digging even deeper and it became darker and lonelier place. And I realized I need to change something. And that's my change in belief and my change in my perception of the world and what I need to do. You mentioned something very, very important, that you're 50, fabulous and healthy. Most of the entrepreneurs across the globe on social media drumming what is necessary for success, and each one forgetting the most crucial element, health. How health is important for you and for success in life, to be happy and all this?
I always say my health is number one, because if I'm not healthy, I can't deliver. And if I can't deliver, then I can't be functioning 100% in my business.
Yeah.
So my mind health is very important, because that's the first start. Starts here, and then it goes to everything else. So I've done a lot of work on mindset for health purposes in the last couple of years. But most importantly, it's number one for me. Like people say, we do business. No, I do health. I do health and then I do business. Yeah. If I don't do health, I can't do business. I do health, I do business, then I do family. That's how I structure my life. And of course, like you said, years ago, you didn't believe. However, something made a change. Yeah. Something made you change. So in my case, I start here because this is first. Health, number one, business, two, and then of course the rest of my goals.
Now we're gonna come to the golden question, which most of the guys you're paying on a cover page of the many magazines before every summer season, how to look fabulous, sexy, and to lose the weight. Now, Angie, you and I sharing the same love for the food. That's the question I ask, okay? But there's a difference between you and I. You succeeded in smashing some goals. Oh. And you lost 34 kilos. Can you tell us, for the all women there, what they need to do to change in their life to start losing weight, except listen to everybody on media, buying the shakes, eat only grass, chasing the SpongeBob and mermaids to lose the weight? Ange, you lost 34 kilos. For all women, what did you done? What did you change?
I had a mindset coach work on my mind first. I had a fantastic doctor dig deep and check everything out. At 50, there's things called perimenopause. There's things called overweight. There's the speed hump, which I call it.
I know you're honest. You're on Facebook. Hump. Yes.
It just, and watching it and then there's the thing called, you think I'm brutal. The mirror is even more brutal. It just shows you. And, I know you can get mirrors that make you look skinny. I haven't found one yet. Everyone I walked into or walked past, it just made you look bigger and bigger. Yes. Of course, then there was a dress sizing. As you got bigger and bigger and bigger in size, it was like, I can't do this anymore. I cannot. And then it started to affect my psychology. How am I presenting? Although I was working at trying to lose the weight, there were underlying issues for me. And I encourage all people who can't lose weight to find out what the underlying issues are, because sometimes it is hormonal. Sometimes it's your stomach is not working. In my case, my stomach wasn't working. Mm-hmm. I spent 20 years with a gastric band that on the way out caused me so many problems that I didn't know about. I was in the gym 4 or 5 times a week. I was drinking Optifast, which everybody knows you go on Optifast, you shrink, and I was gaining weight. So I persisted with doctors' tests. Every test they gave me, I did it. I wanted to get to the bottom of and find the cause. And like everything in life, we get to the root cause and we fix the issues.
What do you believe that it's in most cases it's a cause people don't losing weight?
Mindset.
Mindset?
Absolutely.
What do you mean mindset? Why mindset?
Because when when you set a goal, sometimes life happens. Like I remember my dietitian saying, you need to lose weight. You're having surgery a week before Christmas, and Christmas is around the corner. And I was like, yep. And she said, well, how are you going to be around Christmas? I said, well, I've got to do what I've got to do. I was determined to work with my program and my dietitian. So I set the boundaries that, Christmas, while everybody else is eating the lamb on the spit. And let me tell you, my house, Christmas and New Year's and
it must
Easter,
be the great house.
I live with a chef. She's fantastic. My mum, I call her master chef at home because she cooks for the family. And when the food's out and everyone's eating and you're watching it, I was like, you know what? I can't do that. I'm not allowed to do that at the moment. I have to stick to my program. And if I didn't work on my mindset that this is what you've decided to do, this is what we have to do to move forward, I wouldn't have done it.
You said something very interesting, and I discovered this in my personal experience, particularly to the podcasting. Like every time when I'm doing podcasting, it's like I didn't position camera right, left, middle. I don't look good in this position. I blame everything around me, my setup, the cameras, the lights, the people, but never myself. And then I realized that if I don't look good on camera, look acceptable for myself, my confidence is just goes down. You're the public speaker, you're the mentor, the coach, and you said that your confidence was down. For all women over there, including the male, who are battling their inner demons, and gaining the weight, and they don't look the way they want it to be, obviously influencing their confidence. What would the advice would be from this very moment? I'm not happy with my look, my confidence is down. What would you tell them to do?
Make some changes.
Okay.
You're the only person that can do the changes. We can tell everybody what to do. I work with people. When people come to see me to work with me, I say, well, it's up to you whether you want to work with me or not, because it's not going to be easy. Mm-hmm. I'm not kind. Not when you're paying me to work with you. Yeah. You're paying me to get results. And I need to push the boundaries, so you need to be prepared. And sometimes they're not prepared. So when they come to me, I say, right, are you prepared to make the changes? And through our sections where we work together, I'll say, like, you're not doing the preparation, or you haven't done, or you forgot what we discussed at the beginning. People have to make the decision to do the changes themselves or do the work.
Yes.
And if they don't, they're not going to get anywhere. If it's affecting you, if it's hurting you, then you reach out for people that have done it to help you.
I'm just, as you talking this, through my head, this is the very first time I catching myself thinking about something in my life. Usually I'm very focused on my guest, which I am, but, you make me think now. So you're telling us a very simple thing. Only person who can change our misfortune, lack of confidence, the overweight, the business and this and that, it is ourselves.
Absolutely.
Why is that? Why I can't go to Tony Robbins and say, hey, Tony.
You can.
Well, I'm going to go there and,
You can, and you're sitting in a room with 13,000 other people.
So he's...
And you're in that place, and you're in that environment, and you've got the support network. But then what are you going to do when you go home? Forget about it? Or are you going to put action?
Interesting.
The question is, what are you going to do? What are you prepared to do? I was prepared to work with somebody on this so that I can get moving in the right direction. To this day and in the future, I've always had a mentor. I've always had a coach, whether it's business, whether it's personal, whether it's a dietitian. I regularly, I need to. I know what I need so that I can succeed. I've discovered that. I have to keep doing it. If I don't, I might not get my end results. Personally, I believe I'm at the point now where I can get my results. But I've done a lot of work to get there.
Would you agree with me that it's harder to get results when you're 50 than you're 20?
Absolutely.
And that's what makes you unique.
Absolutely. The older we get, the harder it gets.
That's how it gets.
There are other factors. There's always something else. Like I said, I was battling from the age of 48 for the last couple of years. I have been battling my weight. Been on a diet, it just wasn't working. But I had underlying issues that I found out over time. It took a while.
Yeah, interesting what you say. You said I was on Opti Slim, right?
Yeah.
That's called. I heard for that one, never saw, but and then you said like everybody who drinks Opti Slim, he's shrink, and I'm exploding, right? And it's interesting, like when you say like something's wrong with me. I need to come to the bottom of this very, very quickly. And you did that. Are you taking the new students, new business people to be coach?
Of course.
Yeah?
Willing to work with anybody who needs me, of course.
Okay.
Well, I'm willing to empower people to do something better or do something more on a daily basis.
Do
That's
they
the dream.
can expect fair treatment? Are you going to say, like, I'm the Ange Dion. If I did it, you're going to do it as well?
I'm just going to tell them that, like I said, everybody, what's stopping you from doing it? What's stopping you from doing it? People say you go to the gym 4 times a week. Yeah, but why do I go to the gym?
Yes.
I have a beautiful partner who's in the gym 5 days a week.
We saw on the Facebook as
So
well.
I go with him for a reason because he's going.
Yes.
And sometimes at the end of a long day in business, the last place you want to go to is the gym. I want to go home and sit on the couch too. You know, maybe, I mean, I don't watch TV much, but maybe sometimes I want to go home and watch Netflix. And then he says, are we going to the gym? And I'm like, yeah.
Okay.
Accountability.
That's what it is.
Accountability.
Yeah. So where is the moment the person says, you know, there's a practice every year. Would you agree with me? New Year resolution.
I don't
Okay,
have them.
okay, no you.
I can't keep a New Year's resolution.
People go in the gym. They
Yep.
join to the gym.
Yep. Yeah, I was one of
January,
them.
February is halfway
was
through,
one of
and
them.
then pay the rest of the membership. then-
Absolutely. I did that for years.
So why?
I
people-
did that. I paid gym memberships for years and I never turned up. When I went into the gym that I train in now, the first time I went in, I was with Crunch Fitness at another location and I moved to Marrickville, so I went to see the local one. And it's 10 times bigger than anything else. So I walked in and I was like, oh my God. And I walked straight back out again. And the lady goes, are you okay? Oh, I said, I'll be back. And I left because I saw this staircase that was overwhelming. I couldn't climb the stairs at that point. And she said, can I help you? And I said, no. I said, I just saw those stairs and I nearly had a heart attack. I said, I'm leaving here.
I just had a heart attack by looking at the stairs.
There's no way I'm climbing that staircase. And she said, we have a lift.
Yeah.
Come to the lift. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll come back. So it took me a while to get back in and go you through the lift
Like a
to get
teenager,
upstairs.
yeah.
But I did. And now I'm like there 3 or 4 times a week, sometimes more.
What's the main reasons why people give up on anything in life? Business, health.
It gets hard. It just gets hard. Everything gets hard.
Well, would you think that hard is at the beginning, not the end, or?
Hard is challenge.
Oh, okay.
Hard is shifting.
Okay.
We're going next level. Just like in business. When things start to change or things get tough, it's a growth. It's time to grow.
It's a growth, yeah.
We're going next level. What's next level look like? Don't know.
Okay.
But I'm willing to give it a go. It's got to be easier than what I've been doing. Let's go. Let's try. You won't know until you try.
Once upon a time, I spoke with my father, one of the very blissful moments in my life, you know, when we spoke. He told me that we men, like, you know, generally speaking, all men, we are not the hunters. We are not the alpha males. He said, because the woman holds the 3 corners of the house. And I agreed with that one because, you know, I saw when my son was born, you know, his mother was doing, you know, everything. And I was just a guy who just make money and do something. Now, what is the biggest misunderstanding between the male and woman in today's society?
Most men have been brought up in a strict environment.
Yeah.
Most men have been told that we don't wear pink. We don't cry. Men don't cry. I'm tough.
Okay.
And usually it's when you keep bottling up all that, you know, I'm strong, I'm tough. I don't cry. I don't need to talk. They bottle up.
And that leads to?
An explosion.
How explosion?
Oh, it could be a nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
It could be cutting themselves, self-harm. It could be mental health issues. It could be anxiety. It could be depression. It could be alcohol abuse. It could be domestic violence. And at the moment, we've got a huge problem in society.
I agree with you. Particularly that moment when you say men don't cry.
Yeah.
And as I say, you know, you're absolutely right. Particularly with the immigrants like, you know, yourself and I, with the parents bringing us, particularly my father, man doesn't cry, man just drink, you know, bash the women, you know, and all these things. I was like, come on, man. And then my father, in my case, when the war started in Yugoslavia, he ran away. And I'm like, aren't you supposed to be the killer one? You know what I mean? All these things. And in this country, the mental health spiraling out of control, particularly with the men. But let's go back to you. So what your business does, Angie?
Predominantly, I'm a safety consultant for the small trader, small to medium business operator. I help them set up their systems. I will train them in what they need to know. I will coach them in safety systems so they can go off and do it themselves.
Yeah.
And then if needed, I'll mentor people in growing their business. Now, I've been in construction for 18 years and there's a lot of mental health. So we either do we go to a toolbox talk.
Yeah.
I put the boots on as well and I put on the high vis and I dress like the guys.
Yeah.
So we're equal. And I turn up to a meeting and we'll do a toolbox talk where we discuss safety concerns and issues. We discuss mental health. We'll give them some strategies on how to improve their mental health or how to note to what it looks like. Because sometimes they might be having mental health issues and not accept it, not agree, not admit it, and who they can talk to or to reach out for a conversation. There's a lot of empowerment in my business. We do a lot of presentation on keynote speaking on safety rules, what it looks like, training people in their rights and obligations in the safety space.
That's very interesting. But, we agree, guys, that I asked Ange, and she's happy to take it, you guys, on board if you're keen to learn, how to be better you, how to excel, and what to do when it's hard, it's hard. People don't accept this, and I say, like, we can talk about things. Once upon a time when I was young, I could do many things, right? But it's wishful thinking. As older we are, things become harder, more obstacles, more external factors obstructing us to reach our goals. So, guys, I'm going to put in comment section below the Ange details. Feel free to reach her, talk to Ange, see what guys you can come with. But Ange, before we go, book recommendation for anybody, what will that be?
Say yes and work out how.
So, sorry, say again.
Say yes and work out how.
Okay.
I always say yes to everything.
Okay.
For business. Sometimes I have no answers or I don't know how I'm going to do it. But then I'm like, okay, well, I have a team behind me. I have a network behind me. And I'm sure that with the support and with a few phone calls, I'll get my answers. So I always say yes to anything that comes across my desk, whether it's personal development, business coach. Like, people give me a call and they say, can you help me with that? And I go, can you give me 5 minutes? I'll come back to you. And then I go to my network if I can't. If it's not something that I normally would do, then I'll say yes and I'll work it out. Sometimes I get a call saying, can you come in for a couple of days just to fix something up? And normally we'll set up something over a few months.
Yeah.
And sure, I'll work it out. Some of my clients are one-man bands and they don't know how to go next level. In the beginning when I first started, I wasn't a business coach. I was like, I'm not business coaching. I just started a business. And they go, yeah, well, you're doing it. So why don't you ask us what you need if needed and you can go and show somebody else. And that's the mentality. There's always somebody else who knows something that I don't. And I've got a huge network to be able to go back to them.
I just admire you, like your brutal honesty, Ange. You don't packing this into the nice, wrapping paper. No ribbons.
Nope.
You just say as it is. Yep. And that's what the life it is about. So, ladies and gentlemen, instead of going to Tony Robbins and other guys, you have the Ange Dion here. And I'm very, very serious about this. Why I'm saying that? This is the aim of this podcast, because when you have any problems, you can't just sit on a plane, go to some celebrity in US and do it. Except you have no billions of dollars and buy their time. You go to your GP, you go to your local psychologist, wife, husband, whatever, friends. And there's a lot of everyday heroes like yourself who've been there. And I say this in all honesty. So why I wouldn't go to somebody I can reach, touch,
Absolutely.
Like that's... Yes. Instead of somebody give me online some blueprint or they crap, the plane, which they copy from somebody, and it's like, do it this one. When I have the Ange here, 34 kilos, ladies, 34 kilos. This is what you want. You don't want to, shed 5 kilos because magazine says. You want a person who can talk, he can guide you to this one. Being the woman in a male-dominant industry, building sites, in the workplaces, Ange done this. So, Ange, thank you very much for being my guest today.
Thank you, Mario. It's been
Thank you for sharing that story with us. Ladies and gentlemen, comment section below, Ange details. Feel free to subscribe, share, like, and comment. By leaving the comments, let's go learn from each other, particularly all of you ladies. What do you think about male-dominated environment, and how's your weight? Thank you for watching. Thank you, Ange.
Thanks, Mario.